It's true. I have like $40,000 in GameStop stock. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. It was Thanksgiving in 2020. I was home from college. I was just had so much turkey. I was about to explode. I was laying on my couch scrolling through Reddit. Now, at the time, I only had one goal, which was make enough money to buy my now wife, a ring. She was my girlfriend. I wanted to be engaged, and I was dirt broke. And I remember scrolling through Wall Street Bets, and I came across this guy, Deep Value, and he was posting about GameStop. And before I go any further, I want to just give a huge disclaimer. If you do anything I'm telling you to do in this video, you will lose money. Like, do not copy what I'm doing. This is not financial advice. You will lose money if you do anything I say. I just want to explain myself to you guys who follow me closely, who want to know what I'm doing. Also, I want to document this for future bets down the line, just so I can look back at my thinking process to spot whether I was right or wrong and why I was wrong in my thinking so that I can make better decisions in the future. Anyways, with that being said, enjoy. So I'm scrolling through Reddit. I'm so amped up on tryptophan, about to fall asleep, and I come across this post about GameStop. And so me and my best friend love GameStop. We love Pokemon. We loved all that stuff growing up. And so he's the one who actually told me that people were like buying the stock back in the day and swing trading it. And so as soon as I saw that post, I'm like, what is this? So I start reading it, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty convincing. And so at the time, I was heavy into call options. By heavy, I mean like a couple $100. I was broke. But I knew that if I wanted to get an insane return, I had to go risky. And so I bought I think it was one or two calls on GameStop for like October the next year, which was insanely long term for me. I usually bought like 2 weeks out. I had no clue what I was doing. But sure enough, I buy these calls and I forget about them. They just bled money forever. And then one day, in January 2021, I wake up and these calls were exploding. I mean, GameStop had already doubled, and I knew what was happening because I read the post and I was like, oh wait, this is a squeeze. I'm not going to sell, I'm going to hold it. And so that like $300 turned into, I want to say like 20 grand of GameStop. Now, I did sell, but I lost the money. So just like as the Bible says, right? The quicker the money comes, the quicker it goes. If you hasten to get rich, you better watch out. And as soon as I made that money, I lost it. I would gamble more options. I bought other stocks. Everything was crashing at that time, and I pretty much lost all of it. But thankfully, I was able to buy that ring before I lost all the money. So thank you, God, for allowing that to happen. But ever since that day, I've been very interested in GameStop. And I want to present to you the reasons why I've not only quadrupled 10x down, but I'm adding more to my GameStop shares every single month, pretty much. So right now, I'll show you proof. Now, it says 67K, but I have some of my tax money in there. I got to pay taxes. So I'm guessing it's probably more like 30, 40, and then I have another 30 grand in a separate account, an actual trading account. So as you can see, here's my like all-time view here. I'm up like 33K or whatever. So pretty cool. It's legit Robinhood. That's where I'm at. Hopefully you guys can see that. But yeah. If not, I'll put a screenshot on the screen. So yeah, about $70,000, and then this account and $30,000 in another account. And let me go through why I'm invested in this. So there's a couple of powerful forces at play, and I want to show you guys those so that hopefully you can spot these things in the future. So the first step to getting an insane outsized return is you have to be contrarian and you have to be right. If you invest in Apple, when everyone already believes in Apple, everyone has Apple, everyone knows Apple, your returns cannot be that big because Apple's $1 trillion company. For it to only double, for you to get a 100% return, it'd have to become a $2 trillion company. That's crazy. Versus if you invest in $1 billion company before everyone finds them out, and they go from 1 billion to 50 billion, you might 50x, 50,000% your return. And so you have to be contrarian to the popular belief, and you have to be right. And so I'm going to talk about why I think that I'm right on the GameStop trade. So the first is greed and hubris. So I understand that with more power and more money usually comes more greed and more power-hungry people. We can know this by studying history. I study the Bible. This is where I kind of came across this conclusion. Like, These guys at the top who are very powerful and very rich, they don't need any more money for the sake of feeding their family. They have billions of dollars, but they want it because of intense greed and hunger for power and status. And they'll do very dumb stuff sometimes just to get it. This is what happened with 2008, right? No one thought that the financial markets and the housing market could crash, and it did because people were extremely greedy and hubris. So that's the first thing, is I truly believe that it's very capable for someone to have went way too short on GameStop just out of greed, trying to bankrupt the company and not have to pay taxes and get tons of money on short positions. So I believe that's possible. That really sets the stage for this bet, is that the shorts over-leveraged, went way too far, and now they're in a deep doo-doo. And the reason people ask me, why didn't you sell after it went up? And it's simply because that thesis hasn't changed. The SEC went through and they said that the move in January was not from shorts closing. And so I just believe that the bet is still on. Like, I've not been proven wrong or right. And if I put a bet on a stock or anything, if I make a decision based on an outcome and the outcome hasn't happened yet, whether it be right or wrong, then I'm going to keep the bet. And so anyways, I think that the shorts are still haven't closed. Next, that set the stage for then Ryan Cohen. Ryan Cohen is a very successful entrepreneur. People hated on him when he was trying to start Chewy, the place that like ships dog products. They're like the better part of Amazon for pet care stuff. People thought that he would get destroyed by Amazon, and he didn't. He actually crushed it, made a couple $2 billion, and then took a few years off. And so my bet isn't necessarily on GameStop. It's on the situation and Ryan Cohen as an entrepreneur, because I know it's not about the company where it's at. This is a bet in the future, and the future is determined by the person leading the company. And Ryan Cohen doesn't take any payment. Like, he's not paid at all for his CEO position. I think he's doing this because he was bored. He made $1 billion and then did nothing. And if you were like me, if you're a serial entrepreneur, it's like playing a video game and then just stopping and doing nothing for 3 years. Like, we're obsessive people. We can't just do nothing. And so I believe that this GameStop is his new game. And I believe that he's won in the past. He's a great gamer, and he's going to win again. So that was kind of the second part of this bet. The third part is DFV, the underground hero and, urban legend. So when he made his 40 million, 200 million, however much he made from like 50K, he became legendary status. And there's something about that people love. People love a hero. And so he adds a whole nother dimension to the mystery and the intrigue around the GameStop bet. Next is the cult community and the feedback loop that it provides. So GameStop has an insanely cult investor community, unlike anything I've ever seen. It's different from Wall Street bets. It's different from any of these other stocks in the past. Like, people invest in GameStop, they then buy at GameStop. They like eat, sleep, and breathe GameStop. And even if you look at them and say, well, that's stupid, what if it goes down? It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people invest in GameStop and they don't sell, and they tell their friends about it, and they invest in GameStop and they don't sell, and they think it's all going to go up, if everyone thinks the stock will go up, chances are it's going to go up at some point if they don't lose that point of view. And so it becomes this insane like echo chamber. And you can say what you want about it, but like, I think it'll work. I think if everyone is so convinced that GameStop's going to go up, then they're not going to sell, and I think it will. I mean, it happened once already, and people were a lot less aware back then. People have gained a lot of awareness since then, and I think people were willing to hold a lot further. Yeah, and then I think this will all happen at some point during the stressful macroeconomic conditions. I think that unless things get really hairy for these hedge funds and big guys at the top, I don't think this thing is really going to explode. I think it might go up slowly over time with the fundamentals. And that's another thing. The fundamentals have only gotten better. GameStop went from a dying company to now they're profitable, and they have $6 billion in cash. $6 billion. That's what I mean by the self-fulfilling prophecy. Because so many people are convinced GameStop will go up, Ryan Cohen, very smartly, sold shares of GameStop into the market to raise capital. We bought those shares because we think it'll go up. Now GameStop has money, which means it's more likely they'll go up because they won't go bankrupt. So I believe in a very, very successful entrepreneur who's extremely talented, who now has plenty of time on his hands to do nothing but make GameStop incredible, and he has $6 billion in cash, and the company's only valued at $10 billion as is. And I think that people got greedy and they're going to get burnt from it. And I'm just excited to see what happens. And a major move just happened, which caused me to not only buy shares, but to transfer a lot of shares into calls. Because the only reason you would want to buy calls is when you're very certain on a time frame. So before then, I've just been buying shares and usually the YOLO call here and there because I believe GameStop will go up at some point in the future. But if I want to bet on what time, that's when you buy calls. You get extra leverage. And so I bought calls for 2020, the end of 2025, because I think that Ryan Cohen is going to buy into Bitcoin. And he launched this kind of MicroStrategy-esque strategy of buying Bitcoin with GameStop's assets, which means when Bitcoin goes up, GameStop's value goes up because their cash doubled. And I think it's genius. And I think it's going to happen before the end of the year. And I'm willing to put, 10 grand or so on that to get an insane return. But yeah, that's why I bought 40K of GameStop stock. I'll probably buy even more once I figure out how to pay my taxes and how much I actually owe. But yeah, so don't take any of this as financial advice. This is simply documentation for me to check out in a couple years from now, whether I'm broke or rich. I'll look back at this and think, wow, what an idiot. So hopefully you were entertained for the past couple minutes. And yeah, see you guys next time.